Hello, I'm Edna Kane Williams, Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer at AARP. The time you are investing today to take the course, Becoming a More Inclusive Volunteer, is critical to our overall success. At AARP, we are working to uplift the voices and experiences of all people. As an AARP volunteer, we need your help to embed diversity into our advocacy, education, and outreach work. This training and others like it are examples of our commitment to the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion for the 50 plus. As we all work to fulfill AARP's mission to empower people to choose how they live as they age, we must remember that AARP's founder, Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus, saw the power of uniting diverse and inclusive voices to advocate for change. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is everyone's responsibility at AARP. Thank you for taking the time to take this training. It will help you grow your skills at becoming a more inclusive volunteer.
I'm Derek Young, and I want to talk with you about becoming an agent for change. Here we are, it's the year 2022. AARP is one of the world's greatest organizations when you think about its service, its mission, and its reach. You are obviously a person who's decided you want to take your time and your talent and devote it to that service, to that mission, and to that reach. Well, as we talk about the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion, we wrap that in a larger program that we call Becoming a More Inclusive Volunteer. And what I want you to think about is that you're, in essence, as a volunteer for AARP, you're a person who's saying, I want to bring positive change to our organization, to my fellow volunteers, to our partners in the community, to our members. Well, one of the things I've found is that people want to see positive change, but to what degree are they preparing themselves to be a change agent? And what I'd like to do is offer a few suggestions that you can use to be a better change agent than you've ever been before. At the outset, I first of all just want to say thank you for making that commitment. Because without you, without volunteers like you, AARP would not exist. AARP could not function. So foundationally, the first thing I want to recommend is that you stay away from the word change. Now, I know that probably seems a little counterintuitive, but what am I getting at? I'm sure you've found, just like I have, I've been collecting a paycheck now for, I think, 44 years. I'm sure you've found, just like I have, that some people, when they hear the word change, I mean, it might as well be like a horror movie, right? What I want you to think about is, change is actually not the goal of a change agent. Listen to that again. Change is actually not the goal of a change agent. No. I want you to replace change with words like relevance, effectiveness, enhancement, efficiency. You see where I'm going? You see, when you decide to be a change agent as an AARP volunteer, you've got to understand the real goal is, how do we make this organization better? How do we improve our relationships? How do we improve our performance? How do we improve our outcomes? All that being said, change is a tool, but it's not necessarily the focal point. You change things to have greater relevance, to improve efficiencies, to expand your reach. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to literally sort of change your semantics around change. Secondly, I want you to study your own success with change. Yep, study your own success with change. Now, I could lead you to Harvard Business Review articles. I could lead you to all sorts of management books. I could lead you to my own book. All those things will help you. But what I first want you to do is I want you to actually look throughout your entire life and find, where have you been effective in instituting significant and lasting change. As I work with my executive coaching clients, more often than not, when we do an exercise like this, it is mind-boggling to them how often they see where they've had success. And they also see where they haven't had success. So simultaneously, what that process enables you to do is it enables you to sort of study your own success patterns and your own lessons that you should have learned around ensuring that change happens. Now, I could give you a 2-day session on success that I've had, but I could give you a 2-week session on things I did not manage well from a change agent process. Thirdly, I want to offer you a few of the things I've learned about being a great change agent very specifically. First, I want you to make sure that you think about creating a shared vision. A shared vision. You start off with a vision as the change agent, but you don't want people going after your vision. You want them going after our vision. So one is, how do you get that group in the room? How do you get that group together to form a shared vision about a certain project or task or some part of AARP business that you're working on? Secondly, find out how people want to lend their talents to the process. In essence, include people, but include them from their own lens. Hey, here's the vision. Here's where we want to be in the next 6 months to 2 years. How would you like to contribute? What are some of your strengths? What network do you have that we might be able to access? Again, invite them into the process of pursuing that vision. Next, be very realistic about 3 groups of people. Group 1, people who are for the initiative, the concept, the change. Group 2, people who are straight up against it, they are totally opposed to it. And group number 3, people who seem indifferent. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. In my experience, if you're going to bring significant change to any situation, you've got to know those 3 groups. For it, against it, indifferent. Can I tell you something? People who are often against something, and you know it, are actually helping you. The group that I'm most concerned with is the people who are indifferent. I don't know if they're for it or against it. I don't know if they're with me or against me. So, if you're going to be an effective change agent, I believe an important step in creating a shared vision, inviting people into the vision, is to number 3, really get clear about where people are on that continuum so you have a better idea on how you should interact with them. And when we speak of interacting, the 4th thing I want to share there, again from my own experience, is you got to improve your politicking and influence skills. This is one of our sessions in this series. We said in the other series that politicking in and of itself is not bad. It's a process, and it's a way to build and then wield influence. All right, couple suggestions now as you think about these steps I'm sharing. You probably have worked with, as an AARP volunteer or somewhere else in your career, people who are very influential, people who have been successful at being change agents. Well, remember earlier I talked about studying your own success with change? I'm also going to recommend you study others who've been successful. What steps do they tend to take? What mindset do they tend to use? What are some of the things they do over and over again that seem to help them bring about the change they're after? My point is, as a volunteer, you've got a lot of big things on your plate. And more often than not, as we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're going to be dealing with things that are new to people. You're going to be dealing with things that are sometimes uncomfortable for people. So once again, that notion of flipping the script to things like relevance, efficiency, and enhancement, all those concepts are going to be valuable to you. But once again, I believe if you'll do a little homework, you'll begin to identify some strategies that can work for you the same way they work for someone else. So again, I'm grateful to you for being an AARP volunteer, period, flat out. But I'm also grateful that you're willing to take the time to gain information like this, to dive in even deeper so that you will become a great AARP change agent.